Alright, what's up guys? Brian here, and this is my WWE Monday Night Raw review and thoughts on last night's episode. Of course, last night's episode was the go-home show before this Sunday's TLC pay-per-view event, which is a Raw brand only event this time around. So let's just get right into last night. Mainly the focus point of last night's Raw seemed to be on the whole Shield reunion and them facing off against what was supposed to be a 4-on-3 handicap match against Miz, Sheamus, Cesaro, and Braun Strowman. Has now turned into a 5-on-3 handicap TLC match coming up this Sunday, and I'll get into that in just a moment. But we started off Raw with General Manager Kurt Angle, who came out, talked about TLC, talked about Raw. The Shield would come out to their old entrance theme, and then their old entrance, how they would come through the crowd together. They would get in the ring. They then would cut a promo. They would call out Strowman, Miz, Sheamus, and Cesaro, who would come out, but then Kurt Angle said, no, stop right there. We're not having a 4-on-3 tonight. Sheamus and Cesaro, you're going to be challenging Ambrose and Rollins for the tag titles. Strowman, you're going to be in a cage with Roman Reigns, and that's it. And if anyone, there's not going to be any outside interference in those two matches because everybody's going to be banned from ringside. All this stuff. We then had a Miz TV segment a little bit later on where Miz kind of goaded Kurt Angle into letting him have a fifth partner, but there was a catch. Kurt Angle told Miz that if Braun Strowman won the cage match against Roman Reigns for later in the night, then Miz could have a fifth partner join his team. However, if Strowman lost that match, then Strowman would not be on the team. It would go back to being a six-man tag team TLC match. But let's see what else we had. And I'll get into the ending of Raw in just a moment. We had a six-man tag team match and as one of the matches, it was Elias teaming up with Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. They took on Titus O'Neil, Apollo Crews, and Jason Jordan. A lot of different feuds in this one. You basically had two different feuds going in this one. You had Gallows and Anderson and Jason Jordan. You also had Elias and his problems with Titus O'Neil and Apollo Crews. Crews, Jordan, and O'Neil picked up the win in this one. We had an Alexa Bliss and Emma promo that set up a tag team match for later on in the night. Emma was doing an interview talking about her upcoming match this Sunday with the debuting Asuka. Basically, just doing the same bit she's been doing, saying she started the women's revolution. Alexa Bliss would come in, basically singing her praises, saying that that it's nice that she's the one that started the women's revolution, and she's not bringing any other women down, unlike Mickie James. Basically, it was just the heels doing the heel stuff that heels do. We had Cedric Alexander. He took on Gentleman Jack Gallagher. Of course, these two are going to be in a match at TLC with Cedric Alexander teaming up with Rich Swann to take on Jack Gallagher and beat Brian Kendrick this Sunday. Cedric Alexander won with the lumbar check. Of course, we had the Miz TV segment with Braun Strowman. That set up that whole stipulation for the main event. We had Alicia Fox taking on Sasha Banks. This came about because of what happened last week with Sasha making Alicia tap out in that fatal 5-way elimination match. Sasha won again via submission with the bank statement. Then backstage, Alicia would attack Sasha. She would push a referee. Basically, then they announced that on the kickoff show, these two are going to have a rematch again. So that's another match. That's a one match signed for the kickoff show. But as far as the card is concerned, this Sunday, another match added. We had an Enzo Amore and Kalisto segment in ring that ended with a lot of the heel cruiserweights attacking Kalisto. Mustafa Ali would come out to try to even the odds, but it was not enough. He would get beat down as well. Of course, Enzo blames Mustafa Ali for costing him the cruiserweight title. Let's see. We had, of course, the Raw Tag Team titles on the line. It was Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins defending against Sheamus and Cesaro. Cesaro wearing a mouthpiece because of what happened back at No Mercy, where his teeth got knocked up into his didn't get knocked out, but they got it. Kind of got knocked up into his upper mouth part of his mouth, and he has to wear a mouthpiece now. They lost. Sheamus and Cesaro lost to Ambrose and Rollins, which I thought was a great matchup. There were a couple of things, but I thought it was a pretty good match. These two teams worked very well together. We had a Finn Balor promo that set up a Demon versus Sister Abigail match at TLC, which I think if you have seen this feud, I think it's one of the most dumb feuds. I think it's one of the more dumb feuds that they've had this year. It's just a waste of both superstars' time. I think both of them should move on to other things. We had Mickie James and Bayley over Alexa and Emma, and Mickie James scored the winning fall in this match, which brings us to the main event, which was Braun Strowman versus Roman Reigns inside a steel cage. The last time Strowman was in a steel cage, he went up against Big Show and put him out. This one I thought was very good. Was a good physical matchup. Near the end, I was a little bit surprised about who was coming out, who had come to and was going to be a part of Miz's team. Pretty much Sheamus and Cesaro, as Roman Reigns was trying to escape over the top of the cage because Strowman had the officials lock the door, and that was the only way for both men to get out via pinfall, submission, or escape over the top of the cage. Sheamus and Cesaro, to make a long story short, they came out as Roman was trying to escape. Rollins and Ambrose would come out to even the odds and chase them away. They would end up fighting. All four of those guys would end up fighting in the backstage out into the parking garage and stuff like that. Miz would close the door. What else? And then right as Roman was going to finish Strowman off, the lights would go out, would dim to red, and whose music would come up? None other than the returning Demon Kane, who made his return last night on Raw. He attacked Roman Reigns, chokeslammed him twice. Then Strowman would hit a power slam. Then Kane would pick him up, would pick Roman Reigns up for a tombstone, and then Strowman would hit another running power slam and pin him 1, 2, 3. Then Miz would officially announce that Kane will be the 5th member of the team coming up this Sunday to take on the Shield. This pretty much goes about with Dean Ambrose and the Shield said last week. was that they could take on 4 guys, 5 guys, 6 guys. So they're really running with this storyline. The one thing I was confused about, and maybe they're going to do this after, I don't know why they didn't put this into there as far as Kane is attacking Roman Reigns, was with, Roman Reigns retiring the Undertaker. Undertaker and Kane are brothers, and all that story. Why they didn't interject that in there, but who knows. But yeah, Kane has officially been added to Miz's team this Sunday, so now it's going to be 5-on-3 in a TLC match. But my overall thoughts on last night's Raw, with the exception of, it was a good build-up show for TLC this Sunday. There were, a couple good things about Raw last night, but, I mean, seeing as how, looking at this card for Sunday, I don't know. I'll get into that. I'll get into more about my thoughts on TLC and what I think is going to happen when I make my predictions video Friday. But last night's Raw I thought was pretty good. I thought it was, it's an average, solid show, in my opinion, and I thought it was pretty good. I thought the focal point of them building more as far as the Shield versus versus everybody, with Miz, and trying to stack the odds in his favor. That was pretty good. So I can't wait to see what happens Sunday. But last night's Raw I thought was pretty good. So with that being said, if you guys watched Raw last night, let me know what you guys thought of it in the comments below. I'm sorry if I'm rambling a little bit. But yeah, my thoughts on Raw, I thought it was a pretty good show. So with that being said, this has been my Raw review for last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.